So I know we definitely have to talk about the sovereign individual in today's RIP, because if I'm asked for a book recommendation, there it is. It's on screen, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reminder. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, get on over to YouTube. We are looking at the most important book in, we'll call it the Bitcoin space, but I think it's even more important. It's not just the Bitcoin space. It's a book that everybody should read, because it's not only a history 101, but it shows you just how transformative and how disruptive technology is. So CK, if you have to sum up the sovereign individual thesis and kind of tie that into what's happening today in clown world, I'm just going to throw the baton over to you, my friend.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I would echo what Luke said. This is the most important book that a Bitcoiner can read. I actually bring copies of this to every Bitcoin conference. So Bitcoin 23, come meet me. I'll most likely have a copy. Surprisingly, I'm there. I have copies on me. I'm handing them out. I always hand out the last one like right when I'm leaving the event. So it always ends up that way. That happened at Bitcoin 21. It happened at Bitcoin 22. So don't be afraid to ask. I often have a copy. But the reason, if I could just summarize this in one sentence, this book, before Bitcoin was even invented, in my opinion, they were the most directionally accurate in, one, predicting a system like Bitcoin, but two, discussing what hyper-Bitcoinization looks like. So before Bitcoin was even invented, they saw the implications of Bitcoin. They're talking about what a global localization event that is enabled by cryptography and a digital sound money does to the world, and what that does to global incentives. And they talk about how power is how power transformed over history, and how there's these mega political, timelines that get changed by the arc of technology and the evolution of violence. These huge, big thoughts, but they think big because you have to think big to understand these trends. And they talk about a lot of history in terms of how humans organized over time. And then they start projecting out into the future, based on the development of semiconductors and the development of telephone communication, network technology, and then internet communication. They pretty much said that the whole world is going into the digital high seas. That's what they called it. And that the digital high seas will enable for people to organize outside of the geographical constraints of a nation state. And then they start talking about how nation states are going to start falling apart because they're unable to effectively tax individuals, and that individuals can now move from one nation state to another in order to get the best tax treatment and life treatment. And they can now become customers of nation states because they now have money that they can take and property that they can take with them wherever they go geographically. So I know I'm going on a rambling on a rambling rant, but this is such an important book because you're not bullish enough. You have not thought about hyper-Bitcoinization enough. You're going to make stupid ass decisions as we go into hyper-Bitcoinization, if that's actually what happens. And you need to have a blueprint in order to help you position yourself into the future. And unless you understand what is going to happen on a global level and what has happened in the past on a global level, when there are massive technological innovations similar to Bitcoin, so like gunpowder, the fire, the printing press, all of these kind of things, that you might be off. So I really do think that Bitcoiners need to think about what the world is going to look like if Bitcoin works. They need to understand what hyper-Bitcoinization may look like. And this book is proven to be directionally correct. It's like, hey, they were directionally correct in 1997, and then over time that got proven out, right? So in 1997, when this book was published, which means that they wrote it before then, right? They guessed Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin happened in 2009, right? That's directional correctness. If I could, if I could see it, so they were also directionally correct on COVID lockdowns. That's another big trend, right? All of this is connected. What you understand is all of this stuff is connected. The breakdown of the current incentive structure and the building of the new incentive structure, which we all will use and migrate to, like, it's all connected. And these guys forecasted it. They forecasted it before it was obvious. Like, it's so much more obvious today than it was then. Then, like, there wasn't even like a cozy, nice UI to use the internet. There still wasn't. Like, here we are talking about their book over internet channels where literally I'm looking at you in real time in high fidelity, and that this will be repeated forever in cyberspace. Like, how freaking right were they? How freaking right were they? So, and we're not even that far away from their predictions. So there's, maybe the one thing they're off on is these guys were too bullish. These guys thought it was going to happen faster than it is.
They did.
They are. They didn't see how big China would get on the fiat system either. They didn't give the fiat system enough credit, I guess. So maybe I'm doing the same thing, but they're still so. I mean, gosh, they're already proven to be right, and if they're directionally correct, and they've already been proven to be right, my guess is that they're going to continue to be right. So, y'all, Sovereign Individual, if you haven't read it, just get the audiobook, get the physical book. I think the physical book is great because we need to spread this around the globe. We need to make it like the Bible where it's like it's around. We got this distributed. Exactly. So, like, the alpha that you get from reading this book is worth it, and it's a hard book to read, but it's worth it.
Make sure you read at least the first couple of chapters, and especially the last chapters. The middle can be a little bit of a history lesson. It's a good history lesson for those who like it, but
no, you need to read all of it. Stop being weak. You will emerge out the other side stronger. No pain, no gain.
Exactly right. It is a prophecy, not a book. The COVID prediction that as soon as COVID happened in 2020, I think I'd read the book in 2019. And as soon as it happened, I thought of the book straight away. I thought, no fucking way. If anyone who hasn't read it, in 1997, the authors predicted that a way the nation state might try and crack down on the digital nomad who tries to hop from tax safe haven to tax safe haven is the book says that the government might create something like a fake biological virus to give them the excuse to lock down the entire world to stop that sovereign individual from leaving leaving the high tax region of that Western country in favor of a tax safe haven. It's one of my favorite quotes in the book. There's many. Dude,
it hits you in the face when you read that post-COVID. You could just skim over that like it was nothing pre-COVID. But when you read that post-COVID and you know that book was written in pre-1997, that smacks you right in the face. It makes you dizzy. It makes you dizzy. Like, it's seriously a crazy book, guys. Like, wow. Wow.
That's all I've got time for you guys in that short little video today. If you did enjoy it, feel free to slap a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you're notified for when my next video drops. And if you did enjoy this one, I'm sure you will love the full 1 hour interview that I recently had with CK. That bad boy has actually been posted over on the Coinbeast YouTube channel. It is on screen right now, and you can see the interview I did with CK. We were talking about how the Bitcoin energy revolution could give us flying cars and $100 million Bitcoin before 2040. So I'm sure you're going to love that. Head on over there and check it out. It is also posted on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Be sure to check that out. Final shout out to today's show sponsors, Amber, the Bitbox O2 hardware wallet, and Hodlin Apparel. We'd like to thank you all very much for making this show possible, and I'll see you guys in the next video.